Hey, it's CJ Wilson here with DoakTalk. Of course, I am your host. Like I've been stating in previous videos, FSU is in the midst of hosting official visitors for the 2026 class throughout the entire month of June. And then we'll try to see some returns on the majority of this class with commitments in July. We did get a couple commitments earlier within the last couple weeks, well, last week or so, from the defensive line ranks and the receiver ranks, but of course the class is far from finished. So I want to go ahead and touch on what this upcoming weekend will bring for FSU from the official visitor standpoint. I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. Before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't already, and go ahead and join the Dope Talk community and subscribe to the channel. Give us a follow on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, as well if you haven't already. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into it. The first name I want to discuss is a defensive back. Right, of course. Gotta love my DBs. Chauncey Kennon, five-star cornerback out of Sarasota, standing at 6'1", 175 pounds. He will be on campus this weekend for his excuse me, for his official visit. He did spend some time previously at FSU during this week on an unofficial visit as his team participated in the 7-on-7 camp at FSU. And while he was at the camp at FSU, he was decked out in FSU gear, was rocking FSU gloves and FSU cleats as well. He's been on record and stated multiple times that, his family grew up FSU fans, and his sister also attends FSU. Like I said, Keenan is a five-star cornerback down from the Sarasota area. If you guys remember, a few years ago, we went to Sarasota and grabbed a top cornerback in Charles Lester. The teams that's in contention for Keenan's commitment is the University of Georgia, University of Florida, University of Miami, LSU, and Oregon. I would probably say UGA and U in Florida are the two teams that may stand out the most. Well, not necessarily stand out the most, but the two teams that will give FSU the most trouble for its commitment. I feel like those are the three teams that kind of stand out: Georgia, Florida, and Florida State. So it's going to be great to get them on campus again. Hopefully, FSU can put a bow on this thing and try to lock down his commitment once he announced his decision. Moving on, we're going to stay with the defensive back position. We're going to talk about C.J. Bronough. This kid is an interesting prospect to say the least. Standing at 6'1", 166 pounds. He's a top 100 four-star cornerback from Florida. He is currently committed to Nebraska, and it's kind of funny because he committed to Nebraska and Tony White's defensive staff, and Tony White was the defensive coordinator. So that relationship kind of carried over to Florida State. He still is currently committed to Nebraska. He has Penn State and the University of Florida are the other teams that's trying to flip his commitment from Nebraska. I think Florida's in a pretty good spot as well for CJ. And when I say this kid is fast, this kid is fast. Standing at 6'1", 166 pounds. He's a two-time state champion in the 100 meters, clocking out at a personal best PR 10.3 in the 100 meters. So, yeah, that's some blazing speed. I love my defensive backs, right? So we're going to go ahead and stick with that as well. Lasiah Jackson, four-star cornerback out of Leesburg, Georgia, standing at 6'3", 175 pounds. You heard that right, 6'3", 175 pounds. So we got C.J. Bronough at 6'1", Chauncey Kennon at 6'1", Lasiah Jackson at 6'3". I've been kind of telling you guys this for years. Patrick Surtain definitely has a type when it comes to size for the defensive backs that he recruits. He definitely has a body type that he goes after. And if Leesburg, Georgia sounds familiar, yes, you're absolutely correct. He is the teammate of new FSU running back signee Usman Cromall from the Leesburg, Georgia area. We have Bama, University of Alabama, Georgia Tech, and Stanford are the other teams that Lasiah Jackson has been taking official visits to. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, guys, we have a four-star tight end that's going to be on campus, and Xavier Tiller from Georgia, standing at 6'4", 212 pounds. He was recently committed to the University of Texas A&M, backed off that commitment, and announced a top four. Within that top four, you have Auburn, Alabama, USC, and Florida State. So FSU has their shot this weekend to try to put a staple within the recruitment of Xavier Tiller within this official visit. Big-time playmaker, four-star tight end out of Georgia. We have four-star defensive end Jamarion Matthews from Georgia, who's currently committed to the University of Alabama, top 100 recruit. This is a pleasant surprise as far as the official visit news goes. Big-time playmaker. He's also considering the University of Auburn as well. So you have Florida State, Auburn, and Alabama for the Alabama commit, Jamarion Matthews. So we'll see if we could throw our hat on the table and try to sway him from his commitment to the University of Alabama. All right, I'm about to go back to the defensive backs. I just feel like it's a heavy defensive back weekend for FSU. This may be the DB weekend, but now I'm going to jump into some guys that's currently committed to FSU from the defensive back standpoint. We have Tadarius Hughes, four-star, 6'2", 170-pound safety from Miami, Florida, Miami Northwestern to be specific. He is committed to FSU. You have the University of Miami, of course, right? You got to have a hometown kid. There's not going to be too many hometown kids that the Hurricanes won't recruit. So we have the University of Miami and the University of Colorado as far as official visits for Tadarius Hughes. We'll see if FSU can lock down his commitment and put things to rest this weekend. Another four-star safety that's committed to FSU from Miami. We love recruiting in South Florida. That's Darryl Bell III. The only official visit he also has scheduled is University of Auburn. All right, sticking with the defensive back commit, we have Sean Johnson, 6'1", 185-pound, three-star commit from the Maryland area. Sean was a surprise commit for FSU during the spring window. He's currently going to be on campus for his official visit. We have Penn State and the University of Wisconsin are the teams that's still trying to sway Johnson from his commitment to FSU, being in that Big Ten area. So we'll see if FSU can lock things down this weekend for the commit. We have Darren Williamson, four-star receiver, commit, 5'11", 165 pounds from Tampa Plant. He is committed to FSU, but Florida has been doing a hell of a job in this recruitment and trying to sway his commitment. He did state recently that Florida State and Florida is neck and neck in his recruitment. I do think, as of recently, I like FSU's chances to hold on to the commitment of Darren Williams. We'll see how this official visit goes this weekend to see if FSU, again, can go ahead and put a bow and lock things down and convince them to be a Florida State Seminole. Now, this recruit here, another receiver recruit, this kid is pretty interesting. One of the most intriguing guys, in my opinion, that will be officially visiting this weekend, and that's Jasen Lopez, four-star receiver from Chaminade down in South Florida. Standing at 5'10", 165 pounds. But this kid isn't your average 5'10", 165-pound receiver. I think he could be a slot demon for FSU. He's uber athletic. He could dunk as well. This kid also is a hell of a basketball player. Luke Louts, the new Florida State head coach, extending an offer to Jasen Lopez in hoops as well. So he has a chance to play football and basketball at Florida State. And if you watch this kid play basketball, he's damn good. He's really special. But going on the football field itself specifically, the kid had 87 catches, 1,300 yards this past season and 14 touchdowns. He's a dynamic playmaker. The teams that's in contention for Jasen Lopez's commitment is the University of Miami, Georgia Tech, North Carolina State, and West Virginia. I do think it will come down to the in-state teams for this recruitment, so I think it's going to be more so a FSU-Miami battle for Jasen Lopez's commitment. Big-time playmaker out of South Florida. Like I said, I think he could be a slot demon. You guys remember Xavier Restrepo for the University of Miami? I think he's a more athletic Restrepo, and that can be pretty scary. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to the defensive line. Some trench guys before we get up out of here. Tico Crittenden. Tico Crittenden. And if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, please forgive me. Four-star defensive lineman from Georgia, standing at 6'4", 300 pounds. Defensive tackle that we've been looking for. We have University of Georgia, University of Tennessee, and Texas Tech that have been lobbying for the commitment of Tico. Looking at some heavy hitters, especially within the NIL world, especially with Texas Tech. So we'll see if FSU can throw their name in their hat this weekend, do some things that the kid likes, and possibly, make things serious for FSU as far as a threat to the other teams. Last but not least, we have four-star offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman, and Deron Parks from the Sarasota area. And Deron is a mammoth of an offensive lineman, standing at 6'5", 350 pounds. I told you guys in previous videos when discussing offensive line that Herb Hand has a type. He truly does have a type in regards to the type of offensive lineman that he looks, body size, body type, all that type of deal. I'm telling you guys, if you could get an offensive lineman that has prototypical body size or body type, you won half the battle. If you get that type of kid and mold that clay and develop and coach him, which I think Herb Hand is a hell of a developer, you have a chance to make a pretty good offensive lineman. So again, standing at 6'5", 350 pounds out of Sarasota, we have the Ohio State University, University of Kentucky, Auburn, and Rutgers are some of the teams he's been considering and officially visiting. So some big heavy hitters for Deron Parks. But again, like I said, you stand at 6'5", 350 pounds. Even though he's a 4-star, that type of body frame, a lot of these coaches give a damn what your rankings are, what stars you are. They feel like we can develop that body type. So it's going to be an interesting weekend for FSU. Make sure you guys lock in with DoakTalk. We'll have everything covered from the weekend. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Go Noles. Also, let me know what commit or who do you think will be committing based upon this list to FSU. Again, like and subscribe.